So where does everything stand with Deshaun Watson right now, best you can tell, Albert?
Yeah, I think, like the league, my feeling's been that July's sort of been the target all along. And, because, and I think you and I have talked about this before, there's the pretrial discovery deadline at the end of this month that the league would feel, and the investigators too, Sue Robinson, the former U.S. District Court judge who's running the investigation, is going to give the initial finding. I think they'd feel a little bit more comfortable once they get past that pretrial discovery deadline because, it's not going to be complete. I don't think it's ever going to be complete, this year because it looks like the lawsuits are going to carry into 2023. But at least then you feel comfortable that you have, I would say, a good percentage of the information that's going to come out. So I felt all along they'd let that deadline pass, and then at some point in July we get a decision. I think the question now becomes, what's happened over the last week and a half, does that make you skittish enough where you're like, oh, God, what else is going to happen? Is something really significant going to happen in August or September? That's why my feeling is they're still going to, whatever the punishment is, the sanctions are, they're probably going to leave things pretty open-ended in saying the commissioner reserves the right to the commissioner reserves the right to alter the punishment in some way if new information becomes available. I still don't think that they want to use the commissioner's exempt list, but it remains a lever out there that Roger could pull if he really does feel uncomfortable and he wants to put Deshaun on paid leave. And then I think certainly the idea of giving him a full year suspension, I think this is something that's probably been discussed in the league office by now. The NFL could then couch it as, well, we sat Deshaun Deshaun had a de facto year off last year, and now, we're going to suspend him for a year. So, you add up the time away from the game, and it's equivalent to what MLB did to Trevor Bauer.
Well, it's not just, and it's interesting you mentioned the Trevor Bauer name there, but it's not just the court of public opinion. It's the extra and soon to be more civil cases coming. It's not just that also. It's also Deshaun Watson's inability to explain himself in a coherent manner or a convincing manner in the court of public opinion. It just keeps mounting. And his also desire, as he says, to clear his name and how long that will take. Right. That this is something that is an open-ended question, not just for the rest of this calendar year, but could go into next calendar year as well. And one story that didn't get much run, or soundbite that didn't get much run this week that I'd like to ask you about, was Nick Caserio, the GM of the Texans, being asked if the trade could be voided. And he essentially gave the answer of no backsies, to use the phrase that I think that many people are familiar with in the world. Are the Browns having escrow buyer's remorse at all on this?
I haven't heard the no backsies thing in a while, Rich. So thanks for bringing me back to the 80s there.
You're welcome.
I honestly, I don't think, I haven't sensed any yet. Is it possible it happens? Yeah. But that's why I think it's so important, and we may never get the answer to this, right? But that's why I think how honest and forthright Deshaun has been with the NFL and how honest and forthright Deshaun has been with the Browns is so incredibly relevant here. It could, the way these contracts are written, it could void guarantees in his contract. I don't think that there's any possibility he gets traded back to the trade gets voided and he gets sent back to the Texans because, I think it was pretty clear there was a lot going on here, and it's not like the Browns went into this blindly and this is all of a sudden coming out of nowhere. They knew the risk. This isn't, and the fact that more information can come out, we all knew that back in March, So I don't think there's any chance that the trade gets voided, especially since the Texans have already used one of those draft picks. But could the guarantees get voided? Based on what I know about NFL contract language, if Deshaun wasn't forthright, with the Browns about, what could be coming, about what was out there, about what happened in any of these cases, well, then that exists. And then on the league level, if he wasn't forthright with the league, history tells us that the NFL comes down harder on guys who are not completely truthful with them. And the reason why is because the NFL lacks subpoena power. So if they want their investigations to have teeth, they have to create deterrence for people lying or misleading them, And so I think this thing for Deshaun personally gets considerably messier if he wasn't completely forthright and honest with the NFL and the Browns. And maybe the Browns won't come down on him because he's their guy now and everything else. But I certainly think the NFL will, and maybe both of them will.